like to introduce Nancy Oda as our speaker today. Nancy Oda is a retired LAUSD Elementary School principal. She is a member of the San Fernando Valley Japanese American Community Center and was its president when our club brought the group study exchange team from Japan there in 2013. She was born in Tule Lake Segregation Camp near Klamath Falls, Oregon. She participates in the semi-annual pilgrimage, and she is married to Kay Oda for 52 years, has 1 son and 4 grandchildren. So let's hear it for Nancy.
Thank you. Some of that is untrue, but I want to say hello, and please feel free to eat and enjoy yourself. I know it's been a hot week this week, plus, you know, this is Sunday, so I said to my husband, I have to be as succinct as possible, but I'm really thrilled to have Shoshana here because I was an elementary school principal, and I suspect you're in middle school. What school do you go to?
She's just moving back. She's visiting from Utah, but she may be moving back.
I see. Well, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask because you are the future, as your past governor had said. Well, I want to ask Richard, and I know he's just taking a bite to be my timer, because the worst thing to do is not to respect your time. So I noticed that, what time is it now, Richard?
1:13.
1:13. So approximately, I guess, 1:35, 1:40, I need a couple warnings because I do want to cut myself off.
Sure.
My husband said if he had a watch, he'd go like this. And if it's 25 minutes, he was going to go. So I said, what is this, a softball game, baseball game? What's going on? And he says, well, did you get it? I said, okay, fine. I need to confess to you that I've been a member of the Kiwanis since 1993. And I have to get that out of the way because, you know, I would feel really beside myself if I wasn't truthful, as you are hoping. You know, one of the things that I really want to say is how honored I feel to be here today. You know, I do know about the pencil project, and a lot of the pencils came from my own pencil box because we have just too much, and I'm really happy to see the origin of that particular project, and also the bench project, which helped our Japanese language school. It was really, really something that we needed, and I want to thank you on behalf of not only the Japanese language school, but the community center. This particular talk is called History in Your Own Backyard because it takes place just a few miles from here. And I would like to thank the Rotary E-Club of the Greater San Fernando Valley for giving me this opportunity today. So I'm going to, before I start, not to forget Mel, because without Mel, I'm all by myself. But I have this PowerPoint that I hope will illustrate some of my moments, okay? So it's supposed to go down, right? Oh, okay. So I thought the best thing to do is to tell you where it's located. I had a cousin who came from Japan, and he was shocked when he found out it was a golf course. And it is located at the Verdugo Hills Golf Course, and the address is listed there. And that tree is really on the site. It's absolutely gorgeous, and those are old oaks and sycamore trees. And when we first went there as a preservation group, that's what I represent, we could feel the breeze and almost wonder what the trees know, you know, like what have they seen and what could they tell us. So it says here that the first detainees came on December the 16th, 1941. As you know, Pearl Harbor occurred on December the 7th, 1941. And so this opened up a few weeks later. And I would like to also note that the Tuna Canyon Detention Station is a Los Angeles Historic Cultural Monument. You need to forgive us if we don't know everything about it because we're only 3 years old as an incorporated nonprofit group. But we're on the fast track to really take care of this because a lot of the people we need to get information from are passing day by day. And so this is a great urgency to us. So this is to tell you who was arrested. It says here people who were considered dangerous enemy aliens. And those people were, according to the authorities, Japanese, German, Italian, and Japanese Latins. And we use the word Latins because not only were they from Peru, but they were also from Bolivia, we understand. were processed there and then transferred to a Department of Justice camp or Army internment camp. The other thing that's really important, and I know that this is a particularly smart group, so I have selected this information for you, but it sounds simplified to say the ABC group. Well, as early as 1932, J. Edgar Hoover was collecting names for, just in case there's a war of some kind, and the A group included Shinto or Buddhist priests, influential businessmen, fishermen from the Terminal Island area located by Long Beach. Who can tell me why they might select that as a dangerous group? You know.
Submarines.
Submarines.
Naval information.
Right, it's right by the naval installation. But as Shinto priest, you know, who's one with nature, okay, it's because they have a following. When you have a following, they fear that one person could mean a whole congregation of some kind. Then the B and C group includes farmers, Japanese language school teachers, martial arts instructors, travel agents, and newspaper editors. In fact, the diary that we have collected this year is from a newspaper editor. It's written in Japanese, and then we asked Yoko Mansfield to translate it for us, and she did a superb job. She's one of the former teachers at the San Fernando Language School. Okay, so let's see if I can get this one. So it all started with a knock on the door. I mean, just think about the idea that you're at home, you are a little agitated because of December 7th, but these are some of the numbers that by December the 10th, there were 857 Germans, 147 Italians, and 1,291 Japanese arrested. Now, when you move to February of the next year, close to the signing of the executive order, the numbers start to jump, but you could see it's not in good proportion. What it represents is the fact that there was a war, World War I, and the German people who were arrested during that period of time complained because they were arrested indiscriminately. So by World War II, the government took a little more care on who they were going to arrest, but they didn't take that same care with the other two ethnic groups. Thirdly, the other point is, and I've been working on this week, Joe DiMaggio just hit a big home run. It was that, if you kind of look back in history, what the baseball scores were at that time. And so his parents were of Italian immigrant descent. And so therefore, they really were overlooked. I don't want to be trite, but they said, Italians are lovers, not haters. So that was kind of a inside quote. Okay. This is an example of one of the alien cards. This is Keigoro Endo. He's about 50 years old. A lot of the people that were arrested to go to Tuna Canyon were 50, 60, 70 years old. And so what happened is their family was left without a leader. So Tuna Canyon housed mostly men. And when they returned from the war, it was very difficult to restart their lives because they had aged so much during that period of time. In fact, what I've learned is the Buddhist priests, many of them died at an early age because we have one in our family whose wife lived to 100. And because of the 1988 civil liberties, an apology from the United States government, she then became a citizen of the United States. So, you know, it's just something that was very, very, I guess, well thought out, but, you know, she had lost her husband, she had lost everything, and the temple was burned down at that time in San Diego. So this is a picture of the FBI knocking on doors in Terminal Island. And I put this poem in a long shape because I thought it was more Asian. It says, "The time has come for my arrest this rainy night. I calm myself to listen to the sound of shoes." Okay. So this picture comes from the Herald Examiner on the nightfall of December 7th. So what we have, according to one of the journalists, is a story about how they arrived at Tuna Canyon. The gate I didn't put a picture of it, but they had these army guards at that time, and barbed wire fence had gone up right away. and guard towers. Now, interesting thing is we found documents that look for contracts because, you know, and then they had to lease the land, they had to buy the fencing. I mean, this is where my travels have taken me. So it's been a lot of fun to see how they selected locations. And most cases, if you are a person who's following the camp story, they're usually by a railroad track because that's how they load people up or not. In this particular case, they had the Klein Party, and I learned that the Klein Party was one of the main officers who would accompany groups of under 300 because Tuna Canyon was small, and so it really did not hold a lot of people. But as the people come in, they have to move people out. Okay? Oh, Shoshana's gone. Shall we stop? Okay. She's my main student here today. I'm so excited to have her. Okay, so this is a picture of the hall, and it looks quite civilized. You know, the men are wearing suits, and it looks quite pleasant. Well, it was a CCC camp before, and so what happens is just the June before this particular December arrest period, the Verdugo Hills High School graduating class had balloons and streamers, and they had a big dance in this hall. So when the first prisoners came, the Japanese people actually, they had to clean it up and get it ready for their use. They were under the Geneva Convention, so what happens is they would elect barrack captains and their own mayor. So they had their own government system. But here they are, and they're mostly Japanese men in this picture, and they're writing letters. So this is something that just came up 2 weeks ago. You know, I started off with a kind of a dream that we wanted to preserve this land and find out more about it. Well, two beautiful young girls, the Sugimoto sisters, contacted me through Facebook, and they had these postcards and letters stamped Tuna Canyon on it. They also brought handkerchiefs signed by the prisoners, and it's very interesting because they write about on this handkerchief that how difficult it is to follow this, and it's like, in a way, it's like going to hell. It sounds like Dante in a way, but anyway, they do this quietly, of course, because they're not protesting loudly. But the man who wrote these letters is Shunsuke Sugimoto, and the interesting thing is he lived on Rowan Avenue in East LA, and that's across the street to where I used to live, so I'm sure I passed his house walking up the hill. So, and my mother's maiden name is Sugimoto, and these girls said they were from Gunma-ken near Kyoto, so I think we might even be related. Who knows? I'm really amazed with how this project is going. So this chart is a little difficult to understand, so I'm just going to walk you through. This is a detention station, which Tuna Canyon is one of them. And the regions for the Tuna Canyon or all detention stations was throughout the United States. And it was authorized by Presidential Proclamation 2525 for Japanese, 2526 for German, and 2527 for Italians. And then it was authorized on December 8th and then backdated to December 7th because they had already arrested people, as you saw in that one picture. And who went? It was Japanese, German, Italian, and Japanese Latins. Actually, the Latins came a little later because they had to go from the South America, come through Louisiana, and brought into the different camps. And who administered these particular camps is the Immigration and Naturalization Service and the Army. So that's that one category. The second category is the assembly centers and the concentration camps, which you probably know more about just over time. And it was mostly on the west coast, okay, Arizona and Arkansas. Okay, Kay was born at Poston, Arizona. I was born, as you heard, in Tule Lake, which is near the Oregon border, and that is based on the Executive Order 9066. And I know I'm going really fast, I'm going to slow down. And this was February 19th, 1942. So this coming year is the 75th anniversary. So the Smithsonian will be having a big exhibition as well as in downtown Los Angeles. And at this time, they had 120,000 Japanese and Japanese Americans who willingly went. They were not arrested. They were just, there's a little sign on the post, telephone post, and they went. And this is authorized. Administration was the Army and the WRA. The third column is kind of new in a way, unless you really are into this, but it's about hostage camps. And this is about Hawaii. You know, in Hawaii they had martial law. Okay, so as you can see, these are different. Proclamation, executive order, martial law. Okay, and that started on December the 7th, and it's number EO 9489. Now, I'm going to, Issei means first generation, Nisei means second generation, so 2,392 Nisei, Germans and Italians were arrested, and this is administered by the U.S. Army. Now, what has happened now is in Hawaii, they received a grant to be a national park. So they have been very supportive of our work because it kind of has, I think it gives you a bigger picture of the three types of confinement sites. I have one more chart that kind of goes with this. So do we have any questions so far on this part of it? Yes, sir.
I just want to double check, because on the assembly, the concentration camps, isn't that the Alaska?
Yes, there's Alaska.
Yeah, because you had mentioned Arkansas, but...
Well, you know, when I got this chart, it only had Arkansas. But I knew he was born in Arizona, so I added that. So there is Hawaii.
It came to Alaska, and there was a camp that I'm aware of up in
Yes.
Alaska.
And they even not only took in native Eskimos. They have really had a very wide reach. So thank you for saying that, because it's almost amazing to think that they would be able to do that. But obviously their preparation was quite good. Okay. So this next chart was how people learned where they were going to go. Well, the FBI or police went to the door of their house or to their location for an arrest. John Iso was getting married on December the 7th, and at the party of his wedding party, people were arrested. And if you go to Little Tokyo today, there's a street called Judge John Iso. So, it's just an amazing thing, history. And so they use most existing facilities like the CCC camp, old Army forts, Griffith Park, Tuna Canyon, Santa Fe, and Crystal City. So, it was just like people were hiding in a lot of the Japanese restaurants because they needed the time to prepare. It wasn't that they weren't going to go, because there's a story of Secret Toy's father. He had a suitcase ready, and but they wanted a few minutes to get their papers together. And talking about those papers, we have received a paper that said someone did not do their taxes. And so my word to all of us is to always bring your tax paper and receipts. And secondly, there was a bill for a casket, which I don't know who's going to pay for it, but actually that would have been to our benefit, because if you have any deaths on a property, it's easier to make it a historical cultural monument. So we didn't have any buildings left. This is a figment of our imagination, so says the attorney for the opposition. So these are the how people got informed by the assembly centers and concentration camps. Posted notice all peoples of Japanese ancestry to report to departure points if you are 1/16th Japanese blood. Fairgrounds, Santa Anita, Angel Island, prisoners construct new camps in isolated areas or camp areas. So, for example, my father was held in a stockade, which was not the jail, it was the higher level, because he was a no-no to the loyalty question. So he said there were 5 fences around his particular building. hostage camps. They were under surveillance before the war, and it looked like this: 3 men arresting squads using 3x5 index cards. And I had a chance to see this index card, and we actually are looking for an example for the mainland United States, because I think it would be very interesting to see what they wrote on one side and then the back side. And there are 17 sites. Honolulu is new. It's a new national park. They use existing jails, Waimea Jail, Haiku Military Camp, and Sand Island. And we went to Hawaii for fun, but wherever there's a camp, I have to go see it. So I jumped out of the car and took pictures of it, which I did bring today. But it's right by the Volcano National Monument or National Park. So those of you who know the Big Island, it's amazing. It's called Eisenhower Road, and there's a lot of history there. Very interesting. So Tuna Canyon is one of the Civilian Conservation Corps camps. 1941 it was built. And so the story here is that they converted it, obviously, on the night of December 7th to December 16th in preparation for the prisoners. The next picture is done by one of our members. And you know, people who are in a club like yours, you know, it's almost like everybody's on fire. They're looking for evidence. So this picture supposedly is color, and this is what the mountain ranges look like in the Verdugo Hills today. Bill Skiles superimposed one of the old pictures, and so the line of the hill is just the same. And that's how we hope that when we get this land, about an acre that we're working for, that we're going to be able to put in stopping points so you can say, oh, that's where the guard tower was. Oh, this is where the Taupa Indians, Gabriela Indians gave their horses water. Oh, this is where the Padres stopped on their way to San Fernando or on their way to Santa Barbara. So all of this is really it's a beautiful site. So it's very unlike the others that were in the deserts, or, you know, like my father walked on permafrost when he arrived in November, so big difference. But the problem is, of course, that you're confined. I thought he did a marvelous job superimposing that. So this is a picture of this group that kind of started off with Richard Alacon, who was the city councilman at the time, and he learned that Tuna Canyon, which was in his district, was a detention center. And because of his leadership, you know, he informed us and we got together. So what you see in this group are Lloyd Hitt on the left. He's a member of the Little Landers Historical Society. Munson Cook, who's a member of the Chinese Society. And you see, maybe, I'm not going to go through every single name, but all these people are still with us today working on this project that you're going to hear about at the end. Okay, so what's that, 25?
Yeah, it's 135.
Okay, I'm going to keep trucking. And there's my purse, my favorite purse. So I was thinking the other day, maybe I should get a new one. I don't know, but I love it. But there's Richard Alacon and some of the members that started this particular activity to become a historic cultural monument. This picture, I'd like to stop for a minute. This is Richard Alacon's chief of staff. His name is Gerald Gubaton, and he showed an important map to show that the buildings did exist, because the opposition said, well, you know, there's no buildings, so I don't think we should really do this. So we went through the Historic Cultural Monument Commission. They gave us a no. We went through the Planning and Land Management Commission. They gave us a no. And finally, we were able to go to the City Council because the councilman introduced the motion. Therefore, the council is eligible to vote. And fortunately, we got a unanimous yes. But that was tough because we had to tell them, what about Gettysburg? What about all these places that don't have any buildings to honor? And so, you know, this was really a big fight. What happened next was the City Council, in their wisdom, actually created what's called working groups. And we were to report in 90 days a consensus between the landowner, the city, and the activists, which I've never been an activist before. You know, I'm just a little school person, and all of a sudden we're thrown in the middle of this new world, and I've learned a lot about politics. Yes does not mean yes, and no does not mean no. And maybe, I mean, it was really something. So we did come up with a consensus after 4 meetings to prepare for the meetings, 4 meetings to debrief for the meetings, and we came up with a consensus that the 1 acre of land will be given to the Tuna Canyon Detention Station Coalition, okay, and that it will have access from the road, because the owners wanted to put up 229 houses on this development, 6 inches apart. So if you look at the person next to you, it's very close. So I didn't tell you about this battle, but now I'm going to open that door. So this particular picture really is worth 1,000 words, so to speak, because it gives you the information of how many meetings we had to prepare for, and fortunately we have survived the lawsuit that the landowner and his representative filed against the city of Los Angeles and Richard Alacon after 3 judges heard it, and it was denied for various reasons. One was administrative and one was institutional. Different reasons why they dismissed the case, but we've been to the Superior Court to protect this piece of land. So one of the things I believe in is you don't give up. So what we did immediately is we purified the land, because we felt that it was really important to start afresh. Okay, so we're on site, and this is Reverend Tsuyuki, whose father actually was in Tuna Canyon. So he went a week before just to kind of breathe the air and to look for the right spot to do this. And this is when he throws the salt into the air, and it was a really beautiful ceremony. And so we went back to the San Fernando Japanese Community Center for lunch, and we continued with several other activities. We had to celebrate our anniversaries, just like you celebrate your anniversaries here, but I did not put them in because I sensed I might run out of time. So after all these battles, we decided to come up with an action plan, and we wrote a National Park matching grant, which was in a book like this, and we were able to win $105,000, and we had to match it. I think yours is a better match. Ours was 2 to 1. So I want to acknowledge Yoko, because she was part of my fundraising last year, August the 28th, and we were able to raise it in one event, the $50,000–$60,000 that we needed. Which, you know, I was worried because I didn't know how much juice I had to do more than one event like that. But Hiroshima, the jazz band performed, and it was quite a nice occasion in my opinion. So this is, and I'm running out of time, I think. This is the group which met, you know, with our project director. He's the fellow in front of the computer, Kanji Sahara. He's pretty tough on us. He's very intelligent, you know. He can outthink everybody, but he's been a good leader. We're going to have this project done on August the 28th of this year. So in the group you see Lloyd Hitt again. Okay, this is David Scott. His grandfather was the officer in charge at Tuna Canyon. This is Hans Eberhard, who is representing the Tricentennial Corporation. There's me, Mary Benson, who was on Alacon's staff before, Bill Skiles, who did the photography of the overlay, Kanji, who's the project director, and Joe Barrett. Joe would drive with us on the bus to City Hall with a guitar singing. We would do, you know, all those 60 songs. I really felt young again, you know. But it was just that important that we would preserve this piece of land. Okay, let's see what we have next. We're almost done. And this is what one of the panels look like. This is just a small example of it, because it's going to be 7 feet tall and 3 feet wide, and it's on an A-frame, like a sandwich A-frame, because we had to figure a way to take it to places and put it up quickly and take it down quickly. And 4 of our members are over 85 years old. And then there's me. I'm young, and I'm like 72. Okay, so it's not a pretty picture. So, so these are some of the topics that we're going to cover. And so I think the interesting thing is this is the officer in charge. This is the Reverend Herbert Nicholson, who used to come and translate. And then we picked Reverend Daisho Tana to represent the religious, Kishiro Hayashi to represent the Japanese Peruvians, Heigoro Endo, who represented Japanese language school teachers and fishermen, Cesare Grimaldi to represent the Italians, Eugene Bosnoff, whose daughter is on our committee, to represent the Germans, and Nikuma Tanoe. Nikuma Tanoe lived in Torrance, not too far away, and his story is that he lost 2 of his sons while he was interned because they went to the U.S. Army to fight, and you know, this is that kind of a story. But he received, the son received a Medal of Honor, and he's buried at Evergreen Cemetery. And I went to go look for it, and that's kind of like what we do all the time. We're like looking up over under every leaf, and so we are sponsored by the National Park Service. But again, it's really tough because, you know, that's the government, and we're subject to censorship as well as bureaucracy. But we're okay. We're okay. I'm used to it. I'm from LA Unified School District. Okay, so this is one of the poems that was written by the Reverend, and he says, living in this collective and ordered environment makes me think of a regimented military life. We had to stay 10 feet away from the barbed wire fence. Being cut off from the outside is the most painful thing about living in this camp. So in the beginning, they had everybody 10 feet away, and you could only speak in English. Now these people are immigrants, right? So one lady blurted out something in Japanese, and they brought a bayonet to her neck. Well, as time went on, they found out that we weren't such bad people. So as you can see, this picture depicts touching hands. Okay. So in our exhibit, there's going to be a diorama of the campsite based upon real maps and pictures, because we want to really help people visualize it. And what I wanted to show you we have our summer interns who went to Terminal Island, one of the earliest places where they arrested people, and they're listening to Nen Tonai, whose father was arrested at Terminal Island, and therefore he became the head of the household at about 17 years of age. So he's the president of the Terminal Islanders, which is a club, and I put one of the pictures of one of their monuments up. The next picture is Lloyd Hitt, who's our chairman of the board, and he is speaking at UCLA in this picture. And so we've done outreach at CSUN, UCLA, local clubs and churches. And this is Caitlin Tang, who is the granddaughter of Kanji, our project director, and she has received a Girl Scout Gold Award, and she is also a finalist with the state of California for the Gold Award projects. So we're very excited about that we could have a little more exposure. Okay, I'm almost done. How am I doing, Richard? Terrible, huh?
145.
Ay, ay, ay. Never give me the mic. I'm terrible. So this is yesterday and today. So this is yesterday on the overlay. Okay, and this is today. They have about 250 houses here. They're going to try to put 229 houses there. And they're buying another large set, which I don't have the details on. But the people who live in the community are worried about traffic, air quality, and they really want to have the open space, because it's really beautiful there. Sometimes you kind of think, wow, this is so heavenly. It's really beautiful. So this is a short list of some of the places we're going to be at on October the 2nd. We're going to be at the San Fernando Valley Japanese American Community Center, and I'm going to be having registration online, so don't be afraid. It says tickets, but it's only $1 each. It's mostly for the software people. But that day we'll have the full exhibit. Then we're going to go south to San Diego. It'll be the small exhibit. going to the Japanese National Museum, which really took a lot of work to convince them that, you know, who we are. We're only 3 years old, and I mean, I'm very proud of that. And then we're going to the Manzanar Historic Site, which will be small. Oregon Nikkei Legacy Center Medium, and then we'll be back at Santa Barbara. So if you miss one of these dates, you know, we're continually booking them, but one of the things is we have to watch our pacing, because with every event there's a reception, there's a talk or movie, all these things, and we're flying this airplane, you know, without directions. I've never done this before. I'm just a housewife at this point in my life, and so we're learning a lot. So the last one says thank you to the Rotary E-Club. Congratulations to their new president, Brenda. And I believe in service above self too, so I'm very honored to be part of your day-to-day, because I have met someone who said, so what do you believe in? And I said, I want to make a difference, and I think everybody in this room wants to make a difference. So I'm almost signing off, and this says, like us on Facebook. I'm at 747, and we started with 0, obviously, and so I would appreciate it if you are a Facebook person. I know I've run out of time, but do you have any last-minute questions before I step off? Yes, dear.
Well,
Nancy.
the folks that were taken to Tuna Canyon, did they then, was that a transitional location where they would then move back to Manzanar and some of the
Yes.
others?
Yes. It was a processing center.
Okay.
And so they were there anywhere from 2 weeks or less, depending upon how many people were there. But the other thing is some people left and came back. So we're like, what's going on here? So we have not gone over every single name, but there's about 2,500 people whose names will be on an honor roll at our exhibit. And we hope that, you know, that the people who come to see it will enjoy it, because the real lesson, and I heard you say how relevant this topic is today, you know, because we really are concerned. We are working on our final panel that says why this can never happen again. Why should it not ever happen again? And that's where I'll end today. So thank you for your attention, and I apologize for going over time. Thank you, Richard.